You know, Jack, it seems like public opinion on this show is a little bit in the middle. Like some people
Hmm?
really like it, some people really don't like it. I think whether we like the show, dislike the show, or somewhere in between, I think we can all agree that was a very decent episode of Mandalorian we just watched today.
Yeah, I
Not
think that was an amazing episode of Mandalorian. I think that's a 9, 10 out of 10 episode of Mandalorian for me.
now a Book of Boba Fett episode, however.
There we are.
I don't know what that was. I think that's going to be the foundation of this episode for me. I really liked a lot of the plot stuff that they set up for Mandalorian. I think we're in a very interesting place there.
Hmm.
It was a little weird to me that they did it all in one episode. Like, I felt like his betrayal should have lasted a little longer. Uh,
Betrayal, sorry?
well, he technically betrayed his people because he took the helmet
Eh.
off and they found out about it.
Yeah.
I I think what was his name? Pre Vizsla?
No, Paz Vizsla. Pre Vizsla was leader of Death Watch.
Okay, Paz. Sorry, I'm just
Same voice actor. Still Jon Favreau.
I I liked him a lot. I felt like him getting kind of like territorial over the dark saber was a little out of nowhere.
I think it tracks.
Does it?
Like back in the first episode of Mandalorian, the two of them butted heads a bit, and then now ultimately the Coburn came to save him at the end of episode 2 or 3. And then this is the next time we're seeing him again butting heads with Mando over something that's his ancestors forged, and I think it tracks.
You think those guys are going to be in the finale and help Boba Fett's team?
No, I don't think so. I don't even think. I think we might see them again in Mando season 3.
Might. Jesus
I don't know
Christ.
how many seasons is Mando getting.
Well, it is getting a third season.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just start at the beginning. So, for anyone who hasn't seen this episode, and I know there's at least 2 people who watch the show who have not, this episode has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with what came before. None of it. The very end kind of ties into like the plot that we've been doing this whole time, but the characters we follow in this, the little self-contained story of this episode, that's exactly what it is. It's a one self-contained story for just this episode. I do like that this implies that Mando is in the show for the rest of the run. I do like that. And I will go ahead and say that if this were a season of Mandalorian, sort of like what you said, this would be one of the better episodes. Like, people kind of like to forget that Mandalorian had some lows. I specifically think Finnick's episode was not very good, except for the fact that Finnick showed up in it. Then again, that prison jail episode, God. Every episode that Bill Burr is in is great, but when he's not there, sometimes
there are
you hang
2
out with
good
a frog
episodes
lady.
of Mandalorian, and that's it.
Fuck that fucking baby Yoda. Bill Burr, Star Wars MVP. But yeah, it's weird to me because immediately when this episode started, I knew something was up. And I couldn't figure out, why don't I like this episode just at the start? And then I realized what it was. The fact that they were at a packaging company, and I assumed that was Bantha that was hung up in there. I might be the only person who is like this. I thought that looked too normal for Star Wars. Like, the fact that we were seeing an actual, like, they just straight up filmed at a meat packaging place. And those were just straight up cow. That's just what it was. And maybe we've just exceeded my limit here, but to me it didn't feel Star Warsy enough as a location. Did it bug you?
Not particularly, no. I think
It's just me.
it's one of those. it's one of those things that I like seeing in Star Wars, that this is a lived-in world. It's like, yeah,
Mm.
we need to process food. Here we go. This is a place that processes food. It's like a slaughterhouse or something to that effect, I guess.
I guess I just wanted it to be spacier. Like I wanted it to be like, oh, here is our laser machine which cuts the meat. But no, instead it was like, here's a bunch of it was Clatoonians, right?
Correct.
It was a bunch of Clatoonians just hanging out, cutting the meat, wearing fucking aprons. And to me, it just
What
looked a
would you
little
prefer they
ridiculous.
wore?
Some sort of space apron. Look, look. I know this might seem like a nitpick for some people, but haven't we been, like, from the beginning, complimenting the culture of the Star Wars universe that is being set up by the show? Like, haven't we been like, ooh, this is just so good, look at the sand people and look at their customs. Oh man, rancors, they're emotional beings, we're learning about these things. And then straight up just deli with Clatoonians.
Hey, look at these Clatoonians running a crime syndicate out of this place.
For me,
There you are.
here's the thing. They immediately made up for it when they showed the planet he was on, which was literally a ring, and I was like, holy shit, that's so cool. But,
Yeah.
I don't know, just seeing the Darksaber next to a plastic, that plastic thing that you do for doors. Or maybe I've just seen delis enough, where I, like, mentally am, like, thinking of Rocky and shit when he's walking through there. Maybe that's ruining the scene a little. I don't know. I don't know if it bugs anyone else in the world, but it did bother me that he was just hanging out in a meat locker.
Think that's probably just you.
Well, you'll hear a couple people cry out and be like, should have been Star Warsier in the comments, I hope. But what are your notes for this episode? Because, like, I'm just going to be real. My ranking's probably not going to be particularly high for this one.
My notes are in my bag. Give me a moment. I haven't.
God damn it, Jack! Well, audience, it's you and me now. By the way, a little Easter egg about this picture here. I'll show it. Boba Fett is in this picture, but he's in the corner so much that he's not even important. And it's just about Mando. This honestly does kind of, like, if you take out the scene with Finnick at the end, it 100% feels like episode 1 of Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I, for one, quite enjoyed that. I don't think it necessarily... We'll get into that.
I'm just saying, there's some people who are happy when they randomly order a pizza and then one of the slices has random food on it that they didn't order. Some people are happy about that. I just wanted cheese. I wanted what I ordered.
That's fair.
You open up the case of soda, I want Sprite in that thing. I don't want no random Coke just floating about, Mandalorian. But please, walk us through your devilishly handsome notes.
I really liked the opening of the episode. Again, the location doesn't bother me, but just all of when the Mando silhouette goes in and you see the spear, and it comes through and you get the music sting. Then he's got the fob, he's got the bounty puck. I love the callbacks and the direct lines. I can bring you in warm or bring you in cold. That was all great.
I did like that they didn't tease us. They just immediately started the episode with, yeah, Din Djarin's here. Yeah. Pedro Pascal's here. Mando's doing some shit. I did like that.
And he whips out the Darksaber and he's just using that at the moment. That's just another part of his arsenal.
I also remember briefly thinking, like, you're wasting the Darksaber on this, but I acknowledge that is a straight-up nitpick. Like, I honestly love to see the Darksaber. It looks very cool.
Yeah. He slices a guy in half on screen and then decapitates him off screen with it. I don't think that's much of a waste.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The action scene itself was very cool. I am not shitting on that. I just remember thinking, like, man, I want to see that hit in another lightsaber.
Hmm.
Like,
Oh, we might get that. We'll see.
you know the old
Um,
phrase, you brought a knife to a gunfight. He brought a lightsaber to a blaster fight. I don't know. Maybe I'm just nitpicky because I'm a little pissy at this
he
episode.
brought a dark saber to a dogfight.
Here's the thing. Well, while God damn it, I hate you for that pun. Well, while you look at your notes, I will say this. I I have really enjoyed Book of Boba Fett up till now. Like I loved it. And I was like reawakening to Star Wars. Like I was like, oh shit, this might be better than the Mandalorian. So the fact that this is like just an episode of Mandalorian and literally brings back some of the problems I had with a typical episode of Mandalorian, and honestly bugs me out a little bit, where I'm probably being a bit harsher on it. That being said, though, it's not getting below a 6. It's still a fine. It's still a fine episode. It's just gonna drop, and that's fine.
That's fair. Yeah. I like that. So throughout the fight, again, the integration of the dark saber has been great here. It reflecting off the Beskar armor and everything looks great, and I love that. Like he burns himself with it. He cuts himself with the dark saber. It's like, yeah, he's not. He doesn't have the force. He's not particularly adept at this. He's still working on it, and we get the training with the armor later. And I've really enjoyed all the dark saber stuff this episode. And then the more lore to it, it's like, oh, I've never seen Beskar this refined. And
Did you notice the rebels
yeah,
patchwork they did there?
yeah, I'm kind of curious if that's like a wee bit of a retcon in that they saw, oh, people noticed this lapse in continuity, let's account for it. But I could also very easily see that was the intention all along. I was like, oh yeah, no, this is how that works, because how they worked it in works quite well. I was like, oh, Bo-Katan was given it, and this is what happens when you just give it to someone.
I mean, it does make sense that, like, here's the thing though, and this is my only problem with that. It's been established that these Mandalorians are zealots. Like that's kind of why they do everything they do the way they do. That's why they never take their helmets off. What? Why does Bo-Katan give a shit about it? I guess maybe because she did lose Mandalore to Gideon. So maybe she's like, okay, well, maybe it's because of this tradition.
Yeah, here's this prophecy. I didn't put any stake in it. Oh, wow, it came true. Okay.
I mean, by all accounts, I think that means that, like, Din's supposed to rule Mandalore. I don't...
Unless someone defeats him in combat, yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't want the Mandalorian show to end with Din. There are two ways I want that show to end. Number one, Mando dies to save Grogu.
Okay.
Number two, and this is what I actually hope happens, Mando just raises Grogu and lives on his own and fucks off. Because I feel like that's kind of the best way to end his story. Because he started off the big badass who was cold as ice, and he would do anything to get the bounty, to, you're this dude's fucking dad. And you should, like, actually raise this little dude. How would you like Mandalorian to go? Because I feel like it's setting some shit up this episode.
I think we need more groundwork if it is going to end with Din on the throne of Mandalore. But I don't hate the image of him in charge with Bo as his advisor and sort of all these other characters we've met, sort of helping him with it. I don't mind that idea.
Rule a nation, Mando!
Yeah.
Grief
Because it works with the whole, it's, I think Dumbledore says it or something in one of the Harry Potter books, of like, oh, those best suited to power are those who never sought it out. or something like that, which is why Harry's the great one of this, because he never wanted any of this, and that's why Dumbledore never wanted to be minister and all that stuff.
Mm.
I could see Din in this sort of position at the end of the show.
I
I don't
think
know if I necessarily want it, but I can see it going that way, and I can see
I think
them
it would be
easily
neat.
justifying it.
I also wouldn't mind there being like a season where he rules, where him and Bo-Katan maybe together rule Mandalore, and then
That might potentially be a bit similar to this show, actually.
I mean, yeah, no, you're not wrong. Here's the thing, though, and this is okay. I just have to say this: this episode, tonally, like if I'm judging this as an episode of Book of Boba Fett, which it is, this episode tonally takes everything off track. 100% is a distraction from the main plot. Sets up things that will not be applicable this season. Like, none of the shit that got set up is going to be important to Book of Boba Fett. I don't even think we see Grogu this season of Book of Boba Fett. Do you?
Maybe based on how it ended, I think I disagree with everything you just said.
Really?
Yeah. No, you thought this was tonally didn't match with the rest of the show so
Yeah.
far. So, well, you had the opening and everything on the not quite a halo. It was like a shepherd's crook shaped thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're back on Tatooine. We're fixing a thing that's broken.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what Boba's whole shtick is here, trying to rebuild and get this whole thing under control. We're getting I like Peli. I like Peli Moto. We're getting those wee jokes and everything throughout.
I liked the BD cameo. I don't think that was BD1, but I liked that he was there.
And the little mannerisms and everything with him.
Well, if it is BD1...
I like that. You think things won't get paid off here?
Okay.
I think this ship is going to be very useful in a fight against Pikes.
Let me just Oh, absolutely, and we're gonna see some cool shit in that ship. But let me just quickly voice some of my biggest grievances about this episode, and maybe through talking to you, we can figure some of these out. To me, this whole episode feels like Mando does cool thing, plot progression that will help the Mandalorian show later, and then Mando fucks off to Tatooine and just sort of hangs out. I thought a lot of the scenes were pointless. Like the scene where he's on... I'm sure people laughed at this, but to me I was just like, why are we wasting our time with this? When he takes all his weapons out and puts them in the suitcase just to get them back later, and when he gets on, the space bus, I guess we'll call it, and there's just a roadie in there, and he's just chilling. I would have cut all of that. I would have been like, no, we don't need to see any of that. He just goes to Tatooine. That's fine.
But no, now he's traveling alone, and this is a wide-eyed green alien kid looking up at him. It's to harken back to Grogu. That's the point.
But what? Didn't we just?
That's why that's there.
Didn't we just get a scene like that where he was like, "Could you make this for a foundling?" Even though he's not with Grogu anymore. Didn't we just get a scene like that?
You just got. I think that whole section with the armor and everything was sort of showing his experiences now. Sort of, he doesn't fit with the Children of the Watch anymore.
Mm.
But for a foundling, he's like, for a specific foundling.
Yeah, I think that's...
She takes a moment of, but he's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care. I want this. Okay.
And
you took off your helmet. Oh, okay. You're doing this now. No, and then
I agree with you.
It's showing that he doesn't fit with these guys anymore. So he needs somewhere else to belong. He needs something new. Whether that is going back, getting Grogu, I don't know.
Well, I'm with you here. I love that scene with the armor, and I love all of that stuff. I love the fight with Paz Vizsla. I love the setup for Mandalorian Season 3. Do I wish it was in Mandalorian Season 3? Yes. But I do love that setup. The problem I face is afterwards, the stuff on the bus playing with the Rodian, I thought that was pointless. It didn't make me laugh or anything. And then when he finally gets to Tatooine, and he goes and he hangs out with Peli, it just kind of felt like spinning your wheels. Like, I am very excited for that ship, but the fact that they pulled him over and literally, like, he had to talk to the Republic again, like, oh, this is a callback to Mandalorian. It to me, so much of this episode was just, yeah, I'd be much nicer to you if you were in your own show, but a lot of it weirdly feels like filler, and
Okay.
we weren't doing that. Like, when I think of my favorite parts of this show, some of the scenes that come to mind aren't immediately the action scenes. It's some of the other moments. Like, I loved seeing Boba make his own staff. That was one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. I loved learning about the Rancor, which Danny Trejo, and I really loved some of the scenes in the last episode, even where he's just chatting with Finnick, and they are discussing, like, how they feel in this big galaxy. I like stuff like that. With this episode, I mean, is there anything to give it more justice to say that this is the only Book of Boba Fett episode to not feature Boba Fett? But it just feels like I was liking this better to directly put an episode of The Mandalorian in. I didn't love it. And we both agree this is straight up an episode of The Mandalorian, right? Like,
yes.
Tonally, I feel like it's very different than what had come before.
I
also thought the pacing was a little weird. Like, they kind of wanted to rush everything out, which to me, yeah, I'm seeing your face and I'm thinking, like, I might be insane. Maybe I'm the only person who hates this episode. But it really felt like to me, like, it was like, well, we want the other half of this episode to be Mando doing the ship, and we want that to be, like, the big stinging point that is going to go into the next season of our show. So let's spend a couple minutes on training sessions. Let's have a little bit of time to develop Mando and talk about Grogu, and then instantly fight and get the fuck out. I wish that would have been built up a little more, honestly, over a period of maybe an episode or two in the actual Mandalorian show.
don't think you have enough content to do with. I don't think you could fill an episode with everything that could have happened there.
Really, I would have loved to hear the.
But when he gets down to the covern to when he or covern or however you pronounce that word to when he leaves, I don't think you could get 40 minutes out of that.
I do actually. I think you could stretch that out big time. Number one,
because the key things that need to happen there is he goes down, gets healed, gets a Bacta spray. He shows them the dark saber. We get an exposition dump about that and the Night of a Thousand Tears. We get what you call it?
Mando.
We get
Mandalore foreshadowing.
That's it. No, this was your recap episode. It was a good framing device for it, where you just have, for those who are watching Book of Boba Fett and want to know everything that's going on with this character that we're just bringing in, here you go, because it's the armorer going, what do you know about this weapon? Oh, it's this, and this is how it works. Yes, it is. Hey, and want this for a foundling? Ah, yes, with Grogu. Yes, Grogu. Did you get him to his people? Yes, I did.
I wonder if maybe
that was well framed catch up for that. You get the moment of him helping rebuild the forge.
You know what though?
Paz,
you're absolutely
and then you get
right.
their fight. I don't think you can get much more out of that. You can have him and the armorer sparring for an extra 5 minutes or something, I suppose. But then it becomes like a 10-minute fight scene, which could be good. But
well, here's the thing. I think you're absolutely right, and I think that might have been my problem with it. I think it is a recap episode, and that's not necessarily what I wanted. Like, I would have liked to hear, and maybe seen in flashback, I would have liked to know what the fuck happened to these two. Like, what happened to Paz Vizsla that entire time? What happened to this guy that entire time? I would have liked to hear some discussion about that, maybe seen that a little bit. I personally also believe, like, it really felt like to me, like, I can't shake this feeling of it felt rushed. It felt like they wanted to do a lot this episode. They wanted to give Mando the ship. They wanted to set up the future episodes of Book of Boba
Him getting
Fett.
the ship, him like meeting with
Mm.
Pelly isn't until a half hour into this episode. I
Yeah,
think they
I
took plenty
know.
of time.
You have the intro, the open thing where he's doing the bounty. You have
Yeah.
the plot dump for Mandalorian when he's talking to all of them, and then he's doing the ship. It does. I don't know if the pacing is only something that like bugs me, but it felt weird that they were like, get out the information, and now we're just going to sit here and fix the ship. I don't know. I don't know. Jack disconnected! Oh no! My hate killed him! Alright, I'm back. Jack, your camera's off.
Is it?
Yeah. Did you turn it off?
It's on my end. Uh,
Oh no, what happened? I
I'll
literally
toggle
just...
it.
I pause again, I'm pausing. So anyways, while we were off camera, Jack said he agrees with me and Star Wars is terrible now. So, I win.
That's your current mindset. I think you're in the minority, definitely.
Yeah,
there.
no, Star Wars sucks. It's bad. Did you? I could appeal to a group of people that would support me. I just got to start shit talking the sequel trilogy. I start doing that, people will support me. But
No, like the bit on the transport, the Star Tours vehicle that's not the Star Tours vehicle. I think that was my only audible reaction to this episode, was just letting out an awe as he looks at the wee package, which we're agreed it's like chainmail, right? It's Beskar chainmail for Grogu.
I had two. Okay, so at first I legit thought, "Holy shit, they're making Grogu a suit of armor," and I was super excited to see that. But then I thought, "Oh wait, they're gonna make him a bigger suit of armor that he can grow into." But since we saw little chains, and since it's in like a little bag, I actually think it's a necklace. I think he gave them, like, Grogu originally had a necklace, right? That was like the
Yeah,
symbol of
at the end of the
Mandalore.
show, well, not even at the end of the show, but during season 2, I think, he gives him the Mythosaur skull necklace
Yeah.
that Din had.
So
So he's already got one.
so my theory, I can't remember the name of the creature. Is it a mudhorn? The thing that is now
His signet.
yeah, his signet. Because literally they were like, what was the word they used? Essentially, she said, "You're a family of two."
You're a clan of two, yeah.
Yeah. So I think since, like, Din is proudly wearing his signet, maybe he had a necklace made for Grogu.
Maybe.
I think that's probably what it is for me. However, I will tell you, if we see Baby Grogu in a badass little chainmail armor suit, I am all for that. I even said this to my friend AJ before. I really thought that in season 2 of Mandalorian, they were going to put Grogu in different outfits. That way they could sell more toys. I am amazed they haven't done that yet. And
If you think how long it took them to get the initial run of Grogu toys out, I can't imagine.
I remember that shit!
Yeah.
This is why their Marvel shit comes out as soon as the fucking show drops, man. Because they...
This is why I have the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness Lego set here, and the film's not even out yet.
They really didn't realize Grogu was going to pull in those big bucks.
Oh, they did. They 100% did. They just didn't want it getting out, so they couldn't start doing any toy promotions or anything.
I don't even know if they knew, dude, because, like, I noticed...
There's no way they made that animatronic. You've seen all the behind the scenes of everyone just falling in love with this thing, and they thought, yeah, audiences are gonna hate this.
I don't think they were ready for how much people would want to buy the toys, though. That's where I'll
Uh,
stand.
yeah, maybe it was more than they were expecting, but they were, yeah.
Now, I do want to say something nice about this episode, because there is plenty of nice things to say. Uh, for example, I really loved that. I thought this was a cool moment for Din when he very honestly answers, "I took my helmet off," and she just goes, "You are Mandalorian no longer," and he starts to beg her for forgiveness.
Yeah.
I
But
thought,
how can I atone for this?
because I was thinking about the Bill Burr episode the whole time. I actually rewatched that recently,
Hmm.
specifically when he says um, something along the lines of, "All your beliefs are a pathway, and when you want something else, you will actively like push yourself
Hmm.
to contradict your morals and stuff to get that." And what I like about this is he has consequences for that. Like, it is neat to see that from the side of his people, the people who raised him, he's
Yeah.
no longer valid, which I like. I like that a lot. And I do think there are really good scenes in this. Like, every scene with BD and it made me laugh my ass off.
Hmm.
And he's my favorite type of droid in the Star Wars universe.
I swear he was practical in some shots.
He was. He was in a couple.
Yeah.
There was one or two shots where he's like standing on people. I remember
Hmm.
when the game came out, they made a BD uh, like in real life. It just stood
Hmm.
there and it would like walk once or twice. And I remember thinking, I don't care how much money I have to pay for this. Because here's the thing, I've said this before. I'll say it again. My favorite vehicle in all of Star Wars is the AT-AT, and it might just be because that is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like this giant robot camel thing that carries weapons. It it's so neat to me. And another thing that's neat about BD is he kind of looks like that a little, like ever so slightly. The legs are a
Hmm.
little big, but it extends into a head. I've always viewed him like the cute version of what those legs can do. I love BD so much, and I really like seeing him this episode. I loved playing uh, Jedi Fallen Order, which shout out to that. The sequel got announced yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that.
I am very pumped for that, especially because one of your party members is a Dathomir witch. I'm very excited for that. But I don't actually think it's BD from the game, and
No. No.
the reason I don't think it's him is because I didn't see any red markings on him, and I
No. This
remembered
one's
that was
blue
yeah.
instead.
Well, it's just weird to me that Star Wars is very careful about naming the droids because
Hmm.
they don't want you to think droids are the same characters. So the fact that I know it's a BD unit, I know that's what it's called, but the fact that this one was also just called BD was a little weird to me.
Hmm.
I would
That's
have
fair.
I would have at least called it like DB or some shit. But please take us back to your wonderful notes. We didn't get enough before you cut out earlier.
Yeah, no, I was saying the one moment I had an audible reaction to just went, oh, was this? He was holding the wee package of the chainmail armor, and you see the way they've tied it. Oh, again, I'm assuming it's chainmail.
It kind of looks like his
The
head.
package of Beskar. It looks like his head, and it's the ears, and he's holding it. And I was like, oh,
I'm glad I'm
just
not the
thinking of
only
his
one who
son.
thought that. Look, I
Oh,
like that he's missing Grogu, and I like that part of season 3 could very like this to me seems like confirmation that Grogu's not gone. Like because there were a lot
oh,
of
you
people.
think?
Well, there were a lot of people who were like, Grogu's with Luke now. He's not coming back into the show. And I was
Hmm.
always in the camp of, no, Grogu's probably coming back somehow. I just don't know how they're going to do it. I feel like this is confirmation he's going to go see him. That might be episode 1 of Mandalorian. Him arriving to visit Grogu, and then Luke tells him something and he can't come back or something.
I mean, I get a very strong feeling, giving the closing lines of this episode, that that's going to be next episode.
You think Grogu? You think he's gonna go visit Luke next
Yeah,
episode?
because it's like, oh, they say Boba Fett, he sure would appreciate it. Tosses the money back. This one's on the house. But first, I got to pay a visit to a little friend.
It's Mayfeld.
Credit.
He's gonna go get Mayfeld and bring him back, and Bill Burr's just gonna be in Boba Fett now. Honestly, and I can't overstate this enough, if the whole show flips and Boba Fett's thing becomes part of like a B story now, while the Mandalorian, and I don't think this will happen because I trust these writers, but if Mando takes control of the narrative a little bit, and the next episode also features him more than the plot we've been setting up the other episodes, that's when I'm gonna get angry. Like this was Mando's like, hey, I'm in the show. Here's me. Like that was his reveal episode. I get that you had to focus on him a lot. I get that. If you do that again, why did you even fucking bother with giving Boba Fett a show if you just wanted to do all this fucking Mandalorian shit?
Because of all the amazing Tusken stuff.
That is true. I can't, I was just very excited for Mando to show up, and then I was like, oh dear, wait a minute, he might be stealing the show. And I don't want him to do that.
What this sort of made me realize is, I think I want a Star Wars, not in the vein of Visions, but I want like a Star Wars anthology show where it's like, yeah, okay, so here's what Boba Fett's up to, and let's jump over. Here's what Din Djarin's doing, and yeah, let's make an episode with Migs Mayfeld, and let's hop over here to Ahsoka. And we're kind of gonna get that, in that we're just gonna have all these shows.
It kind of seems like Star Wars. There was going to be a show. I think it was called Rangers of the Old Republic or something.
Rangers of the New Republic, I think. Okay. Yeah.
It was essentially going to be that, where it was going. I believe the synopsis was it was going to follow, the Rangers of the New Republic. One of them would be Cara Dune. Not happening anymore, but. There were rumors that Wedge Antilles could get an episode. There were talks about maybe there being like episodes about some of the characters that are still around from Rebels. Specifically, if Hera's still alive, I would love to see her.
Yeah.
But I.
No, on the point of this episode being like really out of place, I was watching again because I had a bit of time between watching the episode and rehearsals for the musical I'm in, and then coming back to this to record. I watched Crew of Blind Wave, their reaction to this episode, and I think it's Aaron. One of them made a good point that if you think of the Star Wars shows compared to the DC CW shows, whenever Supergirl and the Flash and Green Arrow, whenever they're gonna all they all pop up in Supergirl or something, in their respective shows they build to that. But the way that Disney Star Wars is formatting this, we don't have these shows going concurrently. So you can't do in Mandalorian, here's the episode where he's doing this thing and he goes to Tatooine ready to meet them.
Yeah.
You have to put that in this show for that to work. Otherwise, we're going to be waiting till next year, and then the first episode would just be that, and then we'll get on the actual story after everything that happened in Boba. It'd be structurally really weird if you did that. This is, I think, the best way they could have done it. And if you think of this as the book of Boba Fett, this is just, okay, and here's a chapter of the book following this side character.
You know what I would have done? And I understand that this isn't a lot of people's prerogative, but this is straight up what I would have done. I would have made it a Mandalorian special. Like, I would have been like, sort of like how the Muppets did, it's not a movie, it's not like a full thing, we're doing the Muppets Haunted Mansion special. I would be like, This is the Mandalorian special. If you want to see what happened to Din to get him to where he is. Take a week off from Book of Boba Fett. Here's that special, and you can watch it.
You know, yeah. Ideal world, they do a Mando special. It can be an extra long episodes,
Half my
like a short,
criticisms
short,
would be gone
short
if they
movie or
did that.
something. I think had they done that, that would have been better. I agree. But for what this episode was, again, I really liked this one.
I think what I wanted, and I feel like you're going to disagree with me on this, but I have to stick with it. I think what I wanted was the Mandalorian to be, and this is going to sound confusing, but I'm saying it anyways. When we heard that music at the end, I was like, oh my god, this character with this writing of this show, this is going to be so cool. And then, to me, it legit feels like they 100% just did an episode of Mandalorian instead of putting Mandalorian in an episode of Book of Boba Fett. To me, it feels like that. And maybe the next episode I'll get my wish and I'll be able to see, like, how does Mando feel about Black Chrysanthemum? What is his opinions on Boba's ruling? I would love to dig into this character's head a little more. This felt like such a distraction to me. And I get that it's setting up stuff for Mandalorian down the road. I can't overstate that enough. But when Yelena popped up in Hawkeye, we didn't get a whole episode which was, here's Yelena's episode. It was, Yelena gets her origin story, has the cold open. She meets up with Kate. There's a discussion. She is, throughout the episode, she's very prevalent. But it's still Kate and Clint's story. This episode was Din's story. It had nothing to do with Bubba.
Well, if, this episode was just, let's say, whatever the story of the next episode of the show is.
Yeah.
If it was just Din shows up out of nowhere, we'd have a lot of questions. If he's just like, oh yeah, well I'm no longer a Mandalorian, and still wearing this helmet. It's like, oh, well, why is that? We get a lot of tell rather than show.
What I would have done, and here's the thing, this is just how my brain works as a storyteller. What I would have done is I would have skipped that opening cutscene where he does a bounty. I would have skipped that, and I instead would have just opened on him finding his people. I would have had all those discussions, I would have kept that in. I would have kept in the recap, and I would have, after that fight between him and Paz Vizsla, opens on Tatooine. It's mentioned that he's working on the ship. They downplay it a little bit, and then we start with the plot of Boba Fett. Like, it's about him intermingling with the story we've had so far and sort of becoming a part of it, because it feels like he didn't this episode. He just kind of came in with his own story.
I think that would have been good. I would have enjoyed that. But I really enjoyed this.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
It's like what we were saying with the Tuskens. I'm like, okay, yeah, after episode 1, we were like, yeah, we don't need to see any more Tusken stuff. No, we're good.
Although
if this episode was just that, it'd be like, yeah, that was good. We don't need to see any more Din Djarin, and it was that was good.
Mm-hmm.
But they gave us all this, and I loved everything they gave us.
Yeah,
it's the Boba Fett show. We don't need all this Tusken stuff. We know where he ends up.
I guess I was just really excited because in the past we were talking about like, oh, I'm excited. This isn't 6 episodes. It's 7. I get to spend more time with Boba. I get to hang out. And then the big reveal, the reason it's 7 is because one of the episodes has nothing to do with anything. Which, I get it. I get why they put it where they did, but it really, like, I was so excited to see the story of Boba Fett and where it goes from here. And I didn't get that this week. There was no plot development this week.
That's fair. Again, your analogy of wanting a case of Sprite and there's a Coke in there,
Yeah. I mean...
No, I'd go for Pepsi over Coke, but... Yeah, no.
Here's the thing, that's really good if you like Coke like I do. But let's say you don't want caffeine. Now you're fucked. You are just straight up screwed. That is my cat.
Oh, wow, lots of meows.
My brother picked her up.
I have stolen Philip. He's mine now.
That is Philip, the female cat. He named her.
Yeah.
Any more notes, my friend?
Oh yeah, a bunch.
Shower me in them.
The Halo thing, that was amazing. The one shot. At the end, I was like, okay, who directed this? Bryce Dallas Howard. We're bringing her back in from the Mandalorian stuff. Again, this episode opens with Klatooinians, and that they were the antagonists of her season 1 episode. And no, direction this episode was great. This was, I mean, I think it was good to just get a break from Tatooine.
Oh yeah, I did kind of appreciate that.
Which, again, 10, 15 minutes off this episode was still spent there, but the first half hour was not.
I will say this. When we left Tatooine, I think that's one of the reasons where I'm like, oh, this is Mando's story. It literally has nothing to do with Boba. Because I kind of liked how solitary it was, how contained it was to one planet. I kind of got into that. But I am with you. That giant ring, and oh my god, I have no idea how that scientifically works, but it looks so cool. I just love the idea of a ship flying through it.
Yeah.
And you can look up and see the town, look down and see the town. That's why glass ceilings are invented.
Again, everything with the Coburn was great, as we've said. The armorer, Paz. I love her little jab at the Empire. It's like, oh, all this talk of the Empire, and they didn't even last 30 years.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Which is one of those fun reminders.
That.
Ezra's in his 30s now. Yeah.
That is true. Ezra's still out there just hanging.
Yeah.
God, I would... Not even kidding. I would fucking love it if it was either, Rebels Season 5, or... Were there 5 seasons of Rebels, or 3? I think there was 4.
The first one ended
One
with the Inquisitor, then 2 ended with Vader, 3 ends with losing Chopper Base, so then 4. Yeah, 4 seasons.
Yeah. Okay. So, 4 seasons. I would love a Season 5. I would also just love it if the Ahsoka show is covering stuff from Rebels. Because there are plenty of doors open.
What I think they should do is during the Ahsoka show, they do what they do when Rebels had the Clone Wars episode, where they just Clone Wars fanfare, the Clone Wars credits and everything. It was just the Clone Wars stuff at the beginning and end. Do the Ahsoka show, and then just Ezra shows up at the end of one episode. It's like, oh my gosh, Ezra's back. Next episode starts with the Rebels fanfare and the Rebels style logo. So that'd be really fun. And again, it's adding to, hey, these Star Wars animated shows that everyone is, that a lot of people are brushing off. These are essential viewing. Get your butts over to that corner of Disney Plus and sit down for a month and watch them.
Well, I also wonder, I guess we're getting into theory talks here, but I have always thought, in Season 2 of Mandalorian, it's established that one of the reasons they want Grogu is so they can make clones that are Force sensitive.
Seemingly, yeah.
So here's the thing. A lot of people were like, this is set up for the future. This is kind of some of the explanations where it's like, this is how they were able to clone Palpatine. I have always been of the mindset of, yeah, but what if they don't do that and instead there's going to be a Star Wars movie or show where the enemy is a bunch of Force-sensitive clones? I would love that shit. I would also just love to watch, a Bad Batch style show about some Force-sensitive clones.
There's, what's it called? There's a Lego animation of that. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like there's a Force-sensitive clone that's genetically engineered. He's got like a glowing arm, and it's
The Lego stuff is hilarious. Dude, the
yeah.
trailer for the new Lego Star Wars looks
I know.
amazing. Oh my
Why
god.
did it take this long? But it looks great.
See, Chad, I still like Star Wars. It's not all of it.
Just when it's done by Traveler's Tales.
I don't know. Look, I am and this is going to sound like I hate it, but I don't. I am beginning to realize that with age, I do have a couple problems with Mandalorian. Specifically, Mandalorian kind of like to jump around. And I think what my problem was is I was taking Mandalorian a little too seriously. I know you're supposed to take it seriously, but I think if you just go in and go, it's okay to have one or two episodes that are kind of just for funsies.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, oh, it's meant to be taken seriously. Here's the episode where our knight in shining armor and the short frog lady carrying eggs go to a ice planet where the little green cute thing goes around eating baby spiders. And...
That's one of the things I couldn't. That was one of my issues, though, when I was trying to take everything seriously. But I think I like sat down and I was like, you know what? You need to take this all a little less seriously. But with Book of Boba Fett, it is just straight up and like pretty dark, honestly. Like from my perception, like Boba gets in a one-liner or two, but there are straight up scenes where he just shoots people in the chest straight out. Fennec just kills someone because she can.
I mean, episode 1 of Mando has him bisecting that guy in the cantina door.
I don't know, man. I guess the adult themes of this show were really carrying me. Like, there's been a lot of talk
but Book
about
of Boba does feel a little bit darker, yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about political power and stuff like that. I think that's why I've been taking it a little more seriously, to the point where we have a whole
more
episode.
So than the evil empires trying to, yeah.
To the point where we have a whole episode where it's like, let's be a little goofy and spend some time with good old lady with weird haircut, and let's make a ship. It just felt a little inconsistent. I don't know. It didn't match the rest of the show to me. To the point where,
in terms of this being
in my headcanon, it's not really part of the show. It's kind of separate.
Fitting with a darker theme, hey, here's the TIE bombers carpet bombing the surface of Mandalore, and confirmation. Yeah. Oh yeah, you should have killed Moff Gideon. He has hundreds of Mandalorians' blood on his hands.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. But the K, it's not K2 unit. They're like KX, I think. You droids going through just.
Yeah, but do you see
Terminator?
Do you see my consistency issue a little bit when you look at those badass scenes and then see Peli get attacked by a frog and Mando has to save her?
Yeah.
Like. Yeah. And Mando, like, oh, I can't get on the airplane with all of my metal stuff. Let me put it in this briefcase.
That did feel. I will grant. Yeah, that did feel a little weird. I remember, like, okay, he gives it all to the droid. Gets on the ship. We get to see it on the ship. Gets off the ship and gets it all back. I was expecting, okay, and then the Darksaber will be gone, and he's gonna have to do this wee thing to try and get the Darksaber back or something.
My cousin had.
But then I realized it's just to further highlight what a shithole Tatooine is. Because it's that one droid that's sort of all formal and is like, yeah, well, sorry, you're gonna have to do this. If you'd like to talk to my manager, you can be on the next flight tomorrow. Versus arrives in Tatooine, this one's glitching, it's all jittery.
My cousin did have a theory about that, which he said the reason that scene is important, and I'm going to be real, I think this is a bit of crock and bullshit, but I did want to voice it. My cousin thinks that the reason that scene is important is because it illustrates what Mayfeld said in his episode, where he literally walks up and says, I'm not putting down my weapons, it's against my religion. But then he does it anyways, showing just how far he's kind of sunken from who he used to be.
Yeah. I think that was back... The Mayfeld episode was about the helmet. It was I think it was episode 2 with the Jawas.
Well, the Mayfeld
Whereas
episode
they
was.
wouldn't let him take his weapons.
Well, what I mean is what Mayfeld said when he was
Yeah.
like, "Your morals don't matter when you want something," and that's kind of what's being proven here too.
Yeah, again, it's more of the he doesn't fit with the Children of the Watch anymore.
Mm.
These are their beliefs, and no longer his.
Also, I really liked that ring thing. I thought it was really cool. I did have a question though. If they were standing right next to space, shouldn't they have been sucked into it?
Well, that's the thing. For one, there's clearly like an artificial gravity there.
Yeah.
But two, the Children of the Watch are the only sort of people who could live in that area because you never take off your helmet.
Yeah, that's true. You think there's a breathing apparatus in there?
I'm pretty sure that it's one of those things where it's like it's Star Wars, back in the
Oh yeah,
80s
no,
or whatever,
you're
you
not
still see the skin
supposed to.
underneath. But they add the hiss sound effect and everything whenever you put it on nowadays, and
Yeah,
there's
I think
some sort
that's
of air
fair.
supply.
Also, it is kind of weird if it's just a hat. Like that's a little weird.
Eh.
Especially because confirmed Boba kind of has a targeting computer in it because of his rocket.
And all the ones with the viewfinder piece, yeah.
More notes, man. Walk me through this.
More
I
notes.
want to shit on everything
Yeah.
you love.
Again, that entire Siege of Mandalore, Night of a Thousand Tears, whatever. That was a great wee moment to see, and because they were mushroom clouds, and it's quite unlike any other Star Wars bombing I can think of. In season 2, when they're alluding to Mandalore being uninhabitable,
Yeah.
I assume that's just because it's been nuked. I assume it's just the radiation.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I am itching to see that period of time. Because, like, at the end of Rebels, by all accounts, it's pretty okay. Like, it's not great. It's not wonderful. It's pretty okay.
Pre Rebels time skip, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty alright. What the fuck happened when Bo-Katan became queen? And
This is what happens when you take the saber without winning it.
Well, I did hear theories that what happened was, you'll remember, Sabine developed a weapon
Yes.
for the Empire. I feel like that's what happened. It, heated up the Beskar and killed everybody. I do think they destroyed it, but maybe they
did destroy it in Rebels, and they switched it to be to affect Durasteel instead, so it affected all the Stormtrooper armor. Instead, it was sort of tasing all of them.
I'm just trying to think of how the Empire takes Mandalore, and I'm trying to understand that in my head.
I think like we saw in this episode, you have thousands of TIE bombers dropping nukes.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, no Attack on Titan spoilers, but it's like, yeah, when basically a nuke is on the table, it kind of changes the dynamic of things.
Yeah, you're right. I guess we don't need to see that time. I'd still like to. I feel like
I still want to. Again, just that one sort of, you get the shot of the K2, shooting a Mandalorian bodies, double tapping everything, And again, it's got to be radiation because they send in droids to do all this. They don't send down any live troopers or anything.
It could straight up be. I don't know if they'll call it radiation. They might call it some sort of.
Oh yeah, it's Star Wars. There'll be some spin on it. But they aren't nukes. They're proton bombs or whatever.
But the Star Wars equivalent of a nuke.
Yeah. I was thinking, I never particularly cared for the TIE bomber. It's a relatively cool design. I never particularly cared for it. That was pretty intimidating, seeing all those covering the sky.
It gave me some weird feelings about K2SO. Because I used to really like him. For a brief amount of time, he was my favorite Star Wars droid. And now I just feel weird whenever I look at him.
But yeah, the sort of wide shot of them and all the probe droids and everything on fire, that's if Disney Plus let you take screenshots, that'd be my new screensaver. That's...
Yes.
Then fixing the forge. And then, yeah, we talked about everything with that, and then it's off to Tatooine and the BD droid and Peli and the pit droids and R5 and the Treadwell droid, I want to say. I love that she's just becoming like...
The droid mama.
She took in R5, she's got some pit droids from episode 1, she's got the Treadwell one from episode 6.
You know what I legit believe? I think this is the Star Wars equivalent of a crazy cat lady. Like, you have too many pets.
I never made that connection. That is 100% what this is.
I mean, she has... How many of those fucking... what are they called? What's the droid that she's
Pit
got?
droids.
Pit droids. She has like 4 pit droids. She had R5, and now she has a BD unit. What the hell, lady? Where do you keep these things? How do you feed them?
Oh,
that
and
one
she has
got
a
eaten
gong.
by a frog. She has a gawk.
Yeah.
Just buy a fucking loath cat. Jesus. I thought the ship looked very cool.
Yeah.
I did.
Did you think it was going to be a pod racer when she first went over to it?
Yes, I absolutely did, and I thought it was going to be a joke. Like, I literally thought it was going to be a pod racer. I guess I'm stuck on Tatooine, and then it was going to be like Boba Fett lands with his jetpack, and he's like, maybe I can be of some assistance.
Yeah, I remember seeing someone somewhere. I don't remember where I was saying. It's like, oh well, if Boba's going to be staying on Tatooine and everything, maybe he'll give Din the Slave One. And I'm like,
I would
maybe.
not like that.
I don't know how I'd feel about that. I remember when Mandalorian season 1 was like being the trailers and everything. People were like, oh, is this just our new Boba Fett replacement character? And I think if you gave him the Slave One, there's legitimate credence to that idea.
Well, here's the thing. I thoroughly believe with all of my heart, Mandalorian started as a Boba Fett show, and then somewhere along the way they decided, no, let's do a new character so we don't need all the baggage. But they never fully let go of the idea of a Boba Fett show, so they were like, all right, let's throw Boba in an episode of Mandalorian, and if people like it, he can get his own show. And obviously they did. So...
yeah. But no, yeah, the rickety old Naboo starfighter, that's really cool. And I really like them building it, and the BD unit sort of shining the light, and he's like, no, here, stop moving your head. Here. Okay? Good, okay.
Look, I like them building it too, and I think it was great. This would have made for a really good 3rd episode of Mandalorian Season 3, or a 2nd episode. This is beyond the halfway point to Book of Boba Fett. And I feel like this episode should have like gotten us pumped for the next one. Like, we should have like seen the Pike's army again, and we should have gotten scared about what's coming next week.
Yeah, the Pikes were alluded to again, and it's sort of, okay, yeah, they're coming, they're gonna be a thing. It would have been good to have had them be a thing. Where it's like, oh yeah, the Pikes are here, and Peli doesn't like them, and the Pikes are here, and the Jawas steal a ship part, which I love is the thing Han uses in the trash compactor. It's like, oh yeah, here's the 3-word 8-syllable name for that pipe in that one scene in that one movie.
I love that Star Wars does that shit. They did the same thing with the Camtaro or whatever it's called, the fucking ice cream
Cantono,
maker.
yeah.
I love that shit. The fact
Will
that
Rohood needs that ice cream, man.
I'm just saying, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, they get Star Wars, and that is clear from this episode too. It just wasn't Book of Boba Fett. And that is my biggest issue with the episode, and that's never going to change. I thought the pacing was weird, but if it was Mandalorian, I would have forgiven that for the most part, because, like, you know, there's plenty of Mandalorian episodes where the pacing's a little weird. That dude bro turning into a villain is straight up out of nowhere. but I accept
Yeah.
that because I like the show. Uh,
Again, I stand by that. I think that's probably the weakest episode of Mandalorian out of those 2 seasons.
that's fair. I liked some of the stuff in the Frog Lady episode. I really like the scene where she uses a droid to straight up communicate with him.
Yeah, when he uses Zero and bring back Richard Iowade. Yeah.
But again, there was so much of that where I was like, I just want you to tell me the story, and you're telling me this random shit about a frog. uh, it does make sense that if Mando was gonna come, he would bring the weird writing with him, though.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, rebuilding the ship again. That whole montage and everything was great.
but
Jawas are furry.
I did not like learning that.
Again, that's one of those things that I think is sort of a legendsy thing. That's again, I think it works here because we got the whole Tuscan stuff. That's one of those things that ties in with the Tuscans. That again, they're both meant to be evolved from the same thing. It was like a rat type creature.
I think it's just weird to know that Peli dated one.
That was weird. I will. But equally, again, crazy droid lady. She's like, yeah, I've never left this town. You know, she's
Well,
one of those people.
Here's the thing. I guess I'm. God, I'm about to sound weird too. I'm a little intimate with Jawas. You see, I used to play in the Star Wars RPG, and my character was a Jawa, and I found out that Jawanese in that. So this is actually a break of canon. Jawanese cannot be understood by human beings. It's actually this language that the Jawas have to learn called the language of trade and bartering, where they're essentially like learning a new language to communicate with you. I watched this with subtitles on, and it straight up said Jawanese when he was talking to her, and I was like, oh, that bugs me every so little, but it's a retcon. It's okay, Kneale. You're nitpicking.
Okay. I was gonna say, was that RPG canon?
Yeah, I do believe it was an official Star Wars RPG.
Okay.
I do believe it was official.
I was thinking because even again in Mandalorian episode 2, we had Kneale talking with the Jawas, and he's speaking basic as well.
So actually, they set it up there. You'll notice that the Jawas were doing a lot of stuff with their hands there. That was the language of the trading.
Nice.
But where she straight up went like and talked back, I was like, You're either being extremely racist to these people, Peli, or this is a plot change.
It was a really rough breakup, okay?
Oh my god. Mando just looks over and goes, damn, lady, shit.
She looks over, like, he looks up at her, is like, I don't think I want to work with you anymore.
I'm taking my ship and leaving. Stay away from my alien son.
But yes, the finished design of the ship is great. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to sand off the yellow, yes, we can have sort of this chrome look. And he sands off the yellow, but enough to still leave the sort of tattered stripes on it, like the original Razor Crest had.
I love this ship. It did. I wouldn't even call this a nitpick as much as I would call it a curiosity. It did present me with the curiosity of when we had the Razor Crest, Mando straight up lived in it.
Yes.
He can't do that with this ship. So my wondering is, are we going to see more episodes where Mando has to dock? He's got to go camp somewhere. He has to go stay at like maybe a space hotel or some shit. I don't know. I think this just is a curious path to take, and I would like to explore that when Mando's on his own journeys.
Yeah, he's either gonna now like. Again, I think he's going to be in the rest of the season in the next 2 episodes, but hopefully not as the main character. Okay, cool. He's essentially living in Boba's. It feels weird to call it Boba's palace, but Boba's palace, and this is his car. You know, this is
he's got a room.
His vehicle.
Yeah, no.
And then you can have in Mando season 3, whatever they're doing with, let's say, in the event the majority of it is set on Mandalore, trying to take back Mandalore or whatever, then they can have a main base and this is just his vehicle. Or you're gonna need like a bebop,
Mm.
and this is his swordfish. This is the smaller ship that docks on the bigger ship.
So I do have a question.
Hmm.
Do you think this show is going to end? Because now Mando is straight up a character. I think he's here for the next 2 episodes too.
Yeah.
Do you think this show is going to end with Mando going to give Grogu his present and Grogu just straight up isn't there and Mando has to go get him again? Or do you think it's going to end with some sort of tease to what season 3 is going to be? Because honestly, I thought it was just going to be its own story and then get the fuck out. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen.
I think, again, because of how this episode ends, where it seems to be, again, he directly says, before I help you guys, I need to go drop off this present with a little friend.
Mm.
To me, that says next episode we're seeing Grogu. He's dropping it off. We might see a little bit of Luke's school or something. I don't know what exactly they're going to do, but that makes me think we're going to see Grogu before the finale.
If we're seeing...
And then the finale, I think we will end with some sort of tease for Mando season 3.
Look, I'll be that controversial asshole. I don't want him to go see Grogu. I do think you're right. I do think that's what's going to happen. I just want the fucking story of Book of Boba Fett to be the story of Book of Boba Fett. I don't want Mando to come in and have a B story, a C story now. Oh my god, we just finished the flashbacks and now half the episodes are going to be about Mando. That's what this is establishing.
Yeah, I suppose.
I would not like that.
And for a lot of those previous episodes, the flashbacks were the best part.
I mean, yeah, I would say episode 2, most certainly.
Mm.
Episode 2, I think, was like the highlight of the flashbacks. Episode 3 is when...
100%.
I feel like episode 3 is really when the show became its own. Like...
Yes.
When...
I mean,
Mm.
again, it already was what it was, but the sort of present-day story became its own thing, yeah.
Yeah. Where the, like, main story of the show really came into, like, what it is. Because, like, you know, last episode I was like, God, I'm really loving this. And I feel like we both were really loving this. When it came to this, I didn't dislike what was on stream. But again, it was the Coke Sprite thing. I was here for Book of Boba Fett. You gave me Mandalorian. And that's always going to bug me. Because
that's
even,
fair.
Weirdly enough, to reference back to those CW episodes, they do kind of do what I was wanting. Because I used to watch the CW as well. Where you get, like, an episode where it's still the Flash's writing team, but Green Arrow's here. We're hanging out with him now. What
yeah,
could we
that's
do
what I was
for
meaning.
that?
That, like, again, that's how they did it, but we don't have these shows going simultaneously, so you can't do that. Unless, again, you do a one-off, longer Mandalorian special.
Yeah. I think they are still going to do that, where, like, the two are interacting together in the next episode. That's where I'm probably going to get what I want. I just didn't love that we had a whole Solo thing. And I feel like you could have, and people are going to get mad at me, I feel like you could have cut everything with the ship and just pushed that to Mandalorian Season 3. And then just make this episode about, we have that intro, and now Boba's meeting up with Fennec. We're going to go see Boba. That could have been the rest of the episode for me. And that would have led to more setup at the Pikes. I loved them building the ship. I thought the part where he gets pulled over a bit was a little tacky. I didn't love that. But...
Again, I'm disagreeing with you there as well. I liked that moment. And on the sort of what... I mean, for what it was, okay, we're seeing this new Ranger of the Republic, new X-Wing pilot, and everything. And then it's the other guy who
yeah,
we've
the
seen
guy
before.
who was in the
Whose name I'm
Frog
blanking on.
episode?
Yeah, he was in that episode, and then he showed up on Navarro and gave Kara the medal that she then used to get Mayfeld and all that.
Was it
We
him
see-
and Dave Filoni? Like, I remember...
Yeah, it was him and Trapper Wolf, yeah.
Dave Filoni's Star Wars name is actually pretty good. I don't hate Trapper Wolf. I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty
But
cool.
no, so is this like guy again? Because as he says, like, your voice sounds familiar. Did you fly a Razor Crest? Like, oh, we need to pull you over and ask a few questions about what happened with Moff Gideon and all that. No, because as we were saying about the Empire and everything, it's like, oh, well, this is the New Republic. I like that these two guys are like, yeah, we're sorry, did you want to spend the rest of the day doing paperwork? But this is also pointing to, the New Republic really is not up to scratch.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the First Order take over. Everyone's like, yeah, it's a little out of nowhere, all this. It's like, how did no one see this coming? It's like, oh, well, this is the standard of guys we've got. I think that more relaxed sort of, yeah, the war's over. Everything's cool. There's a few Imperial remnants about. We're working on it. That sort of mindset leads to all this stuff in the sequel trilogy.
I do like those references because I really feel like Disney is kind of positioning itself to ignore the sequel trilogy, which I am a little sad about. I know a lot of people are overjoyed about that, but I didn't hate the sequel trilogy.
No.
I'll just say
I didn't like and I hate the handling of it.
Mm.
But the films themselves.
Here's the thing. I've come a long way with The Last Jedi. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, I really like this. Then a week passed, and I was like, I'm thinking about these things. It kind of sucks. But then years passed, and I watched a review of a guy who shared his opinion. And as I was listening, I was like, you do bring up some good points. I'm going to give the movie one more chance. And I rewatched it, and I am now in a place where I can say, I like The Last Jedi. I do.
Good.
I like The Last Jedi. I think it's good.
My last house, me and my flatmates, when we all moved in together, we had a sign. It's like you came. There's the front of the house, and there was the door, and you opened that, and there was a wee landing into the next door, and that next door had a sign on it. This is a pro Last Jedi household.
This is a Christian household.
This is a pro Last Jedi household.
If you come in here and you're not Christian, that is fine, but just know we like The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Though, we were like that, liked Last Jedi, but then it was very much we came out of bloody Rise of Skywalker. It's like, yeah, that was fun, and on the walk back, realized how much we hated it.
Here's the thing, I will say this, and I will stick with it till the day I die. There is not one Star Wars movie I have ever regretted seeing in theaters. There is always some magic about seeing a Star Wars movie in movie theaters.
The thing I loved most about the viewing experience of Rise of Skywalker was the rest of the audience's reactions around me. The opening when Kylo goes down and we're getting Palpatine's voiceover, and he's like, oh, the dark side of the Force is the pathway to many abilities some consider to be, and the entire audience whispers under their breath, unnatural. That was great. And then later in the film, Kylo's like, oh, you're Palpatine's granddaughter. The groan of disappointment.
So,
and then Rey Skywalker. Oh.
Here's the thing. I am kind of the nerd of my group. Like, weirdly enough, I have a good example for this. Earlier today, since it's on Disney Plus now, my buddy Beck, she watched Eternals. And she didn't know who Blade was at the end. The Blade tease. Have you seen Eternals? I hope I didn't just spoil it for you.
I've seen Eternals, saw it in the cinema. Me and my little brother looked at each other like, that kind of sounds like Jeffrey Wright. Is that the Watcher?
I actually, while there, I was like, I think that was Blade. And I remember looking to my mom and straight up saying it, and my mom was like, Blade's not a Marvel character. And I was like, okay, this discussion is over.
Oh, sweet summer child.
But yeah.
But no, yes, since it came out on Disney Plus and the subtitles say that, yeah.
So I had to answer that question for people. When Rise of Skywalker came out and had that vocal cameo by everybody at the end.
Oh, that was so good.
I swear to God, I was getting calls every week of like, Kneale, who was this person? And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Freddie Prinze Jr. I don't know.
Yeah. that moment was great. But yeah, this episode, again, the directing, the shots from
Where's
like
Cat?
of Mando in the cockpit were great. Again, this Bryce Dallas Howard, great job here, and good call bringing the Mandalorian director back to do Mandalorian episode. And we go through Dagger's Canyon again.
Who
We
was?
tour around Tatooine.
I remember
Right.
whoever ended up doing the Obi-Wan show, like the showrunner.
Hmm.
They did an episode of Mandalorian. Was that Bryce Dallas Howard?
I'm quickly going to Google it.
While
Riff
he
for me, fill
Googles
some
it,
time.
everybody, look at this cat. Why is she grabbing the side of the couch like that? Why is she so aggressive about it? If I pet her head, will she kill me? Not this time, but maybe the next. We don't know. We don't fucking know. Alright, I'm officially out of stuff to stall with Jack.
Deborah Chow, yeah.
Oh, okay, she did a different episode.
Yeah, I'm not going. Do I have any other notes here? Oh, the moment when the newer sort of rookie pilot thinks that he jumped. He's like, how did he jump to light speed without doing that? Like, oh no, he didn't. His ship is just really fast.
I do also like
It's
the
that it
mention.
moved that fast that he thought it was the speed of light.
It's also off the grid, right?
Yeah. Same as the Razor Crest. It's pre-Empire.
I do look. I like the ship. I thought it looked fucking awesome.
Yeah. Again, I still want the Lego set of the Razor Crest. I really want the Lego set of this ship. Like the sort of like hot rod exposed engine sticking out the bonnet. Great wee touches like that.
Which do you like better, this or the Razor's Crest?
Still got that connection to the Razor Crest because we had it for
Yeah.
so long.
I do prefer the Razor's Crest.
And
I
like how this the choice to use a Naboo Starfighter, so you still have that twin engine look for it, and it's silver and yellow, so you just scratch off some of that yellow paint down to just these lines, and boom, it's the same paint job. It's great. Whoever was, they were sat there and they're like, okay, so Mando needs a new ship. What are we going to do for this?
Mm-hmm.
And they were thinking about it. They were brainstorming ideas. Like, oh, we could do a Clone Wars gunship or something. People, whatever. And that one guy who realized, everyone shut the fuck up. N1 Naboo Starfighter. And they all stop. Oh my god.
It did.
I want to see that moment. Can we please, Disney, can you please just be filming every single meeting throughout production of these Star Wars shows?
I think the reason I like the Razor Crest just a little better is because, and to be fair, this is a badass motherfucking ship, but the reason I like the Razor Crest just a little better is I liked that it had hallways. I liked that it had like other
it was
rooms.
a set.
Yeah, it was a location where you could hang out. This is just like, it's like you said earlier, this is his car. It's not his mobile home. And I kind of liked it better when it was his mobile home. That being said, I'm all for a change. Not against it. Not against it.
Then my last note, there we go, description of the ship, the same one he used. Pretty wizard.
That was one of those things where I fully accepted, yeah, this is nothing like the tone of Boba Fett. No one would have said wizard in the Boba Fett show before this.
I think it was crew of Blind Wave made the joke in episode 1 when they're talking about the mayor. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be wizard if the mayor is Kickster?
Don't say that.
And they end up saying wizard here, and again the pit droids and everything. I love how much. Again, I'm glad that there's been the turnaround on the prequels, so we can just unabashedly get all this prequel love sprinkled throughout these shows.
I do very much like it that, like, there are some things that I will refer to the fan base on here. There are some things that are, air quote, prequel bullshit that I would never like to see again. But I am not against some of the other things, like when they mention, like, I've never been anti-metachlorians, but I know there are a lot of people who are.
Yeah.
I think that I am okay with them referencing pit droids, referencing speed racing and stuff. I am fine with all of that. If Jar Jar gets a fucking episode of any of these shows, like if Jar Jar shows up, and I don't mean like it's a cameo, because I'd love to see that actor come back as Jar Jar. Honestly, I'd love to see modern day do a Gungan. I think that would look pretty okay.
Yeah.
Like a practical effect Gungan, I would like to see that. I feel like that would be wild. But I, for the life of me, do not need, and this is the Jar Jar episode, when Ahsoka shows up. I don't need that. God, we have not seen a Gungan since, right?
Special edition of episode 6.
I mean, it's in Clone Wars. You can see Gungans
Clone
in Clone
Wars.
Wars, but that's animated, so that's cheating.
Yeah. No, I don't believe so.
That's what we need. We need the black chrysanthemum of Gungans. Like, we need, like, just hear me out. What if the Andor show comes out and it's like, I've got you a team, and on the team is just this super buff Gungan, and when he speaks, it's Jason Momoa. And then straight up, it's just like, Miso gonna get this done. That's my Star Wars. James Gunn, where you at? If anyone can do it.
that'd be a James Gunn thing. Yeah.
Taika Waititi's doing a Star Wars. So.
Yeah, that might be in his. I wouldn't be so. I would not hate it if that's where that goes. Yeah, give us just adapt all that stuff of Jar Jar being. There we go. That's because there's that Jar Jar comic of like, he goes back to Tatooine and everyone like despises him for giving Palpatine power. He ends up living on the streets as a clown who's again like beaten in the streets daily. There's another homeless kid who ends up like teaming up with, and they're kind of friends. Just do that. Give us a movie that ends up making people sympathize and feel bad for hating Jar Jar.
Honestly, I would not mind. You know what should really do this? Those fucking Lego shorts. Because the Christmas Lego one that came out recently, I want to say last year, that was really fucking good. And then I was like, okay, well, the Star Wars one isn't going to be as good. That was really fucking good. So, like, I'm just of the opinion Lego can do no wrong right now. Give Lego a Jar Jar show. I'd watch it.
My favorite moment for the wider implications of it from that Star Wars Holiday Special Lego one they did is when Maz Kanata shows up to the party and runs and like jumps onto Chewie while his kid, his wife, his uncle are all sat there as well.
Doesn't she say something along the lines of "Where's my boyfriend" or something?
Yeah.
I know it's a ripoff.
Chewie might be in an open relationship. Good for you, man. You know.
I know it's a ripoff of the Robot Chicken thing, but just when Palpatine is falling to his death and he looks at the mug and he just goes, this was quite thoughtful. Why am I always so mean? It was the best. Final
there we go.
thoughts.
Disney, give us some like officially like get the Robot Chicken guys in to do like a new special or something. That'd be great.
That's what the sequels for Vision should be. Honestly, just the Star Wars comedy hour. I would love that shit. Those Robot Chicken specials are so good. Like they're so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
My last note I've got on this episode is Tamir Morrison still gets top billings in the credits for this episode. It's starring Tamir Morrison, Ming-Na Wen, Pedro Pascal. One of these was not even in the episode.
I don't know if we talk about it enough, but his performance really does sell this show. Like, I feel like if he wasn't playing this exactly the way he's playing it, I wouldn't buy it as much. Because when he needs to be, like, confused and unaware of, like, the Sand People's ways, he is. But then he's so sure of himself and so confident in his rule. And he's bringing so much heart to Boba Fett. Like, legitimately, when he's, like, smiling, looking at the Rancor, and he's, like, petting it.
Yeah.
Like, he really is one of the reasons this show is so good. But I prefer to end on a positive note, so I'll give my final thoughts and rating first. I thought this was a fine episode of Mandalorian. I'm sticking to it. It is a complete distraction from the plot of Book of Boba Fett. It is set up for something that isn't going to be paid off for a very long time. If we see Grogu in the next episode, fun. I would love to see Grogu. I don't want this to be the plot now. And I'm so excited for everything they've set up with Book of Boba Fett. I'm so pumped for it. This episode just bummed me out because it wasn't that. And I'm not going to be mean and be like, it's terrible, it's bad. It's not. It's a fine episode. It's just not what I wanted. Which, like, imagine when you go to order your burger from McDonald's and you're like, okay, I want the pickles, I want the cheese, and I want the ketchup, and they give you the burger and it has, like, onions, ketchup, and other shit. You still got a burger, but it's not what you ordered. That's what I feel like here. I got something that was fine. I'm still gonna eat this. I like it. Where the fuck was what I wanted, though? And I want that to be related, just in thought when I give it my ranking. I'm sorry, this is my least favorite episode of Book of Boba Fett. Fine episode of Mandalorian. Least favorite one of Book of Boba Fett. I am giving it a 6. It's above average in terms of quality of an episode of any show. But this, like, even if I'm ignoring the fact that it's a complete plot distraction, I care about all 4 other episodes a lot more than anything in this. I'm excited for the plot implications when we get back to Mandalorian, but I'm not excited for them right now because they're not going to implicate anything right now, you know?
That's fair.
I think 6 is fine. Fine episode of television. Fine. By all accounts, it's good. It wasn't great, and honestly, in my headcanon, I'm just going to move it to where it belongs.
Nice. My final thoughts and score.
Kneale's a bitch and I hate him. 10 out of 10.
Had this been in a series of Mandalorian, this is like this is an episode of Mandalorian in everything but name. This is one of my favorite episodes of Mandalorian.
Yeah, it is a pretty good one. It's a lot.
It was
better
shot
than
great.
some
The
of the other
locations
ones.
were great. The action, the story, the lore, the emotional beats, the comedy. Again, let's just take time to build a car. I really liked all this. This is one of the better episodes of Mandalorian, and I was genuinely considering giving this a 10 out of 10. But it is in the wrong show.
Yeah.
It should be Book of Boba Fett. I think we do sort of need to. My thoughts on this may change depending on how the rest of the season goes and how prominent Din is in it. But at the moment, just this episode in and of itself, and with the previous episodes and everything in mind as well, I'm giving this a 9.5. Same score as last episode for me, because this was really good Star Wars.
This was pretty good Star Wars.
Was it what I ordered? No. This, I think, again, Boba wasn't in it, and that's the key thing. This is like your burger analogy, I've gone and ordered this burger that I was after,
Mm.
and they gave me a better one.
You think
They
this
give
was
me a
better than Book of Boba Fett?
No. This is better than. I ordered a burger. They gave me something a bit better than what. Again, I'm giving it the same score as the previous episode.
But here's the thing. I'm not saying that since I got a different burger, I still don't like what was on it. Like, I ate it.
But
I
you
enjoyed it.
you like it a 6 out of 10.
Well, here's the thing. I am not angry enough to go back into the store and be like, this is not what I ordered, sir. But I'm also like, don't do this again. Like...
Yeah, I think you came out, bit into your burger, this is not what I ordered, but I'm not going back to the store. I came out, bit into this burger, and went, this is not what I ordered, but this is pretty dang great.
Yeah.
This is not what I ordered, but I'm tempted to go back in and thank them.
This is not what I ordered, but I might order it in the future.
Not because it was such a big step up from Boba Fett. Book of Boba Fett's been really good. This wasn't like a massive leap and bounds better than it or anything.
Yeah.
But this was just a really... I think it's...
I think...
If you hadn't seen any Mandalorian at all...
Oh, I would have despised this
This is possibly the worst episode of Star Wars TV.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen any Book of Boba... If you haven't seen any of Mandalorian and you're just thrusted into this, you are not going to want to go watch the show. You're going to be like, the fuck? Why are you... Shut up.
Yeah. But it seems like the spears, like when... It's like, oh, the spears, like, you get the wee... Oh, Beskar should not be used to make weapons. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, we're melting it down. That's a wee bit sad after everything, having to get this spear, and it was the one thing that survived the bombing of the Razor Crest and everything. But, oh my god, we're reforging it into something for Grogu. Oh my, that's it. Oh, wow.
I wanted it to be a tiny helmet so bad. I really did.
Yeah.
Never take this off, Grogu. I'm still growing. This is tiny.
Like, you're not going to get that much bigger.
We do. We get quite bigger. Nah. I think I've figured out the difference between our...
He says, I was like, we do. We get much bigger. Ahsoka just looks down at him. Oh, sweetie, no.
I think I have detected the differences between our two mindsets here. You were pleasantly surprised by what you got. I was disappointed.
Yeah. And I think this is a good podcast episode because I feel like that's probably going to encapsulate a lot of the fan base's reaction to this. I can see this being quite a divisive episode.
Yeah, that's fair. And, everyone's always like, Kneale, you're too positive about shit. I don't like this one. Did you give your ranking, though?
I did a 9.5.
9 point... Shit!
Yeah. Same score I gave last episode. I really liked this.
I gave last episode 9.5.
Again, it's weird. It's down that 0.5 because it's in the wrong show.
Yeah, that's
this
fair.
should have been a special. This should have been a movie.
If legitimately what it would have been advertised was, we're going to do 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett at 4, and then we're going to have a Mandalorian special to show where he is, and then they're going to cross over, I would have been much more forgiving. But I still wouldn't have given it... Here's the thing, and I fully admit this is my personal take, but it's what happened. In a way, this episode pissed me off a little, because I was very excited to see more of the Book of Boba Fett story, and we had a whole episode that had nothing to do with it, except for the tail end.
Yeah.
And in reality, I'm willing to bet, and I guess I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, if they started out the next episode and just skipped this one, I think there's a solid chance we wouldn't miss anything but the ship. Maybe seeing Grogu, maybe they needed to set that up, but I think there's a solid chance we didn't need this, and it is filler. So, honestly, and if
as
that
I said, though, same with all the Tusken stuff.
That is true. You're not wrong.
We said with episode 1 of this show, it's like, yeah, okay, I hope we don't spend too much more time with this, because at the end, okay, he's starting to earn the tribe's respect. Cool, we know where this goes. And then we got it, and it was amazing.
But with that, it kind of showed you...
Next episode starts, and it's like, okay, yeah, but he's here, and he's got a new ship. It's like, okay, cool, we don't need to know how he got it. We don't need to know what he's been up to. We can guess. And then we do I still think we need to know how him, Fennec, Bo-Katan, and her backup team were stood on the bridge of that light cruiser with Gideon in handcuffs, how we got from there to this.
Yeah, no, I've been very curious about that, actually.
I think we still need to get that, and I hope you keep that. That needs to be Mandalorian Season 3.
I really thought it was going to be a thing of, like, because it's really on the edge of your seat. You're like, are Bo and Din going to fight? What's happening? And then it just turns out, no, Moff Gideon did get arrested. They did not fight, and Mando is walking around with the Darksaber.
I think we might be setting up some future Moff Gideon stuff. I don't know. Because from this episode, when the armor said, it's like, oh, I should have killed him. It's like, oh, well, he's there to face their justice. And her response was, we will see.
He's not dead, and Juan Carlo Esposito is an amazing actor, so yeah. Yep. We're going to see Moff Gideon again in something. I almost guarantee it.
My parents recently, like just the other day, started watching Breaking Bad. They're in for a ride.
Here's the thing, and I'll say this right ahead. If it does turn out that Din just takes over the show, which I don't think it's gonna, or if, like, this episode, by my definition, was filler to the point where I'm like, you can just watch the next one. You don't even need to watch episode 5. My rating will actually go down to where I'm actively like, this is bad, actually, because you didn't need it. I think they should have
Did you need Solo?
I wouldn't be giving Solo a very high ranking either.
Did you need Clone Wars Season 7?
I know you're right. We didn't need
Ahsoka and Rex show up and they allude to it. Maul shows up and they allude to it.
Okay. We didn't... Okay. Maybe it's okay if you get things you don't need. If you wanted them. But here's the thing. Mando's got his own fucking show. If this was like a situation of like, no, the Mandalorian show has ended. It's not coming back. But it's okay. Look, this character is back. Kind of like what they did with Kingpin, although I think that was handled a little better in Hawkeye, too.
You think that was done better?
Oh, no, the shooting in the head was awful. But cut all of that. Cut that one part and it was better.
Cut that this was in the wrong show and it's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but I can't cut that because they put
I feel
it
like
in the show.
I feel like we could sit here and keep debating this for a while.
I feel like ethically...
I don't think we're getting anywhere.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I know. We're never going to see eye to eye on this one.
Call and share. We need a third opinion to break the tie.
I'm just saying, if, like, you have... Like, I'm not against this happening back when... Weird enough, we keep bringing up the CW. Superman had cameoed in Supergirl a couple times. So during one of the crossovers, Superman got a lot more screen time. He had cameoed in Supergirl. He didn't have his own show yet. But he got a lot more screen time in that crossover. That I'm okay with, where it's like, oh, well, you get a little more time here when you've been this character that's just kind of been to the side because you don't have your own show. But when you do have your own show, I'm a bit more like, you should have just done this for your thing. Why are you stealing from someone else?
It's like if in Thor Ragnarok, if Hulk did have his own movies.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, like if Hulk had his own movies, you're right. I probably would have been.
You'd be like, why are you hogging the spotlight of this Thor movie?
Yeah, That's true, but Hulk didn't have his own movie, so I was very forgiving for the fact. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You nailed that. Yeah, I fully agree. Well, now we have to end this show. How do we end with so much turmoil?
What does an argumentative droid run on?
I'm really afraid to ask. I can see your shit-eating grin. Oh, wait, is it a bad motivator?
No, it's turmoil.
That's worse. That's so much worse than a bad motivator.
We're not ending on that.
No. I was about to, too. I was like, I want you to die in shame. Oh, my God. I mean, I guess instead of ending on a joke, we could, like, ask the big question. Do you think that, like, we're going to see Luke in the next episode? Because I'm thinking if Grogu shows up, Luke shows up.
Yeah, that's the thing to bring up. So I think Luke will show up. Again, assuming that's all going to happen in the next episode, and hopefully not take up too much of the runtime.
We need
Luke
a
will show up.
character who explains what Grogu has been doing, because Grogu can't talk. So someone's got to explain that.
Again, because we just had, again, it's that amazing moment with Ahsoka when she says, "Oh, his name's Grogu," and then just goes, "Grogu?" And he just, "Who? Oh, Dad? Yes, you said my name." Yeah, but Luke, because in the Star Wars Gallery, sorry, for the season 2 finale, they say it's like, oh yeah, we're working on doing more stuff with these deepfake guys, and we're wanting to do more with this stuff. So I think this is naturally what will show up, just to make Luke look better and better as we go. And also, because it'll further having Luke show up here, I think this will further, again, just even more so. And I'm looking forward to it perhaps being a point of contention, like an actual thing in Mando Season 3. The disagreement with the Children of the Watch. Because even in this episode, the armor is like, oh, you want to do this for this foundling that's not really a foundling. I don't consider them that. And oh, well, the Jedi don't believe in attachments and all this stuff. But that was the old Jedi. You know, Luke, the whole way he saved Vader was because of the attachment there.
Yeah. So
I feel like him going and meeting up with Grogu, again, in his new ship, we have that wee extra cockpit. So someone smaller is sitting in that.
I mean, that's true. There is room for another character there. Oh my God, I would hate it if Mando shows up and he takes Black Chrysanthemum with him. Like, literally, he's like, hey, you're cool in this show. Come be in mine. Fuck you, Boba. See, you're laughing because you'd love that, but I'd hate it.
No, I'm laughing because that's goofy, and it's reminded me there's a whole comic book like controversy where like the guy who invented Howard the Duck, who like made that character, was like there was some fallout with Marvel. So like one of the last stories he wrote had like a clone of Howard, and then when he went and made his own story, his own comic separate for Marvel, he said that the clone was the one left in the main timeline, and he still had the original Howard the Duck. Just, yeah, no, Black Chrysanthemum, yeah, no, sure, no, he's mine now. He's mine. No, that's all it'll be. Next episode is like, Boba's just stood there with Black Chrysanthemum, like, yeah, Fennec said she was off getting this guy, and this guy just pulls up, like, sup, loser, get in.
You got a cyborg lady back there, too? There's room.
Yeah.
Set on the Wookiee's lap.
Get the teenagers.
He gets like a big box, takes the Rancor. Not little Trejo.
Danny and little Trejo still have that hover platform. Just
Danny
attach it with a
Trejo
tow
goes
bar.
with him. He even takes Danny Trejo. He just leaves Finnick. Hey, thanks. We're the real show. Thank you for setting all this up in your episodes. We're gonna head back to that tribe of Tusken Raiders. We're gonna see if any of them are still alive. We're taking them too. Oh, that
I don't
gaffy
think we
stick
can.
you got? I could use that.
I just lost my my melee weapon. Yeah, my blunt tool.
Mando just comes in and takes everything. I'd fucking oh god, that's my nightmare for this show. And that would be a very funny note to end on. But I just realized we forgot to plug, so
Ah,
we'll end on that. We'll end on the plugs. We're not gonna beat Mando literally taking over.
he just gets a chain and hooks onto like the front door of the palace. Light speeds away,
He
just ripping
takes
the
the
door off.
What am I left with? Here's a random speeder you can have, Boba. Ride it like a bantha. I'm out.
Boba just goes to the door. You kids, stay off my property.
Finnick's the only one left. And she just really wants Mando to come get her too. Like, you know,
Fennec's left behind is just drinking in sadness.
I was in
They
the
even-
season
they-
finale.
Din just folds up the Matt Berry torture droid as well. Taking everything. Takes the LEP droid, drops it off with Pelly,
Takes
you
the
know.
Gonk droid. He takes Pelly. Pelly's got to come too.
Pelly's already a part of his show. That's fine.
Mos Espa is just empty except for Max Rebo, who becomes the main character in the show because for some reason this show is obsessed with Max Rebo. Just in the background. I'm not against that either. I just find it weird that they keep name dropping and showing him to the point where I'm like, are you doing something?
They name
with
dropped
that
him once.
character?
They name dropped him once. He's shown up in a few episodes now, and we're like, is it Max Rebo? It might just be the same species.
Playing
And then
some
they
Jaws.
name dropped him last episode.
Alright, time to
Jaws.
plug yourself. Quick, before Mando takes us all away.
Jaws of all trades. No,
The
find me on
Jaws of
YouTube.
all trade.
find me on YouTube at Jack of All Trades. At the minute, we're covering Attack on Titan. The final season, part 2. It's a whole thing. It's amazing. Like it's been great. If you started watching Attack on Titan and stopped at some point, you fool. Yeah, you can find me there. We're covering that week to week until it ends. And if my channel can hit 2,000 subscribers before the end of the season, which is looking less and less likely unless they are doing a final season part 3 or a movie, which manga readers seem to be leaning towards because of the pace that it's currently moving at. They're like, there's no way we can get through this in the next 6 episodes. So
that would... You've talked about this a few times, though. That would super piss me off if I were you, if it's like, the final season and a movie.
I mean, I think I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, no, I did immediately realize
with
that
anime,
means more stuff.
That's such kind of a common thing with anime at this point. Yeah, Demon Slayer, and it's like, yep, the next arc is a movie. Go see the movie. Made in Abyss. Yeah, we did season 1. The next arc is the movie. Go see the movie before the next season.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, if Attack on Titan does that, and it means that the last arc gets a bigger animation budget, you can go see it in the cinema with other fans.
That's fair as fuck. That's super fair.
I'd be so down with that. It just means I wouldn't be able to do a reaction to it because I'd be in a cinema.
Man, there was this one anime thing I was really excited to see in theaters, and I didn't end up doing it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's still in theaters right now.
That was the example I was meant to say. Evangelion. There was the original series, and then it ended. And then there was, this is the end of the show. And then there was the end of Evangelion movie. And then there's been the rebuild movies with the actual final ending being Neon Genesis Evangelion Rebuild 3.0 plus 1.0. And that is the actual final ending, hopefully. But don't worry, because the Nintendo DS game is canon.
What?
Oh, Evangelion's lore is all over the place.
This sounds...
They did 3 movies in the past, like, few years that is a retelling of the original story, but with new characters and a different plot.
You got a minute?
But it's canon to the original.
Do you know who Clayton and Ware
are? 1 second for just a minute. Clayton is the bad guy in Tarzan, and that's all we were talking about while we were paused. That's all.
Didn't realize we were back.
We were talking about Clayton is the bad guy from Star Wars and should totally be in the show. Wait, Star Wars? Tarzan.
Yes. That was my plug.
We're animals. We're just fucking animal children.
Speaking of animal children and animated Made in Abyss, I got my first Nendoroid recently.
Oh, nice. Oh, that looks awesome.
Yeah, it's massive as well because of the bunny ears and everything.
Belle. That was the movie in theaters I really wanted to see. The anime movie. Look at the trailer, folks. It looks really cool. Jack's doing it right now. But my plugs, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to regular content. We finally got there. I am no longer sick. I am no longer experiencing tech issues. Did you learn anything about Belle?
Yeah, no, I recognize the trailer. Cool.
I am doing things. I exist. Hopefully the Miss Marvel review is not far away. I have also thought about doing...
Captain Marvel?
Yeah, Captain Marvel is what I meant. I sometimes confuse it because Carol started as Miss Marvel and I was introduced to the character at that point. But I am also just going to do a random video. I don't know if anyone's going to like it or care about it, but I'm going to do a random video where I talk about recent movies that came out that I really like, because I recently just saw the movie Don't Look Up, and it was fucking awesome. Like, it was a really good movie, and I really liked Tick Tick Boom, and I've kind of wanted to talk about it. So, I don't know, I might just do a show where I sit down and go, these are movies I like, and this is why I like them, bye. So expect that on the channel. We are also doing, me and Kyle are doing more silly stuff. We've talked about, it snowed recently, so we can't do any of our outside stuff. We do have several scripts written for a sketch comedy show we're going to do. So maybe you'll see that in the near future. It requires editing, of course, so not tomorrow or the next day, but maybe come back in a week or two, maybe. For now, ladies and gents, I have nothing else to say about this episode. I don't think Jack does either. We're not going to end on a joke. Just, I don't know. Eat a sandwich. And you know what? You care about yourself more than that. If you order a burger from McDonald's and it isn't what you wanted, fucking go back in the store. Tell them. Fucking tell them. Tell them you love them. Bye.